everyone. Welcome to LexTalk, World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today we have Mr. Gyanendra Mishra with us. Mr. Mishra is one of the country's leading employment and labor, general litigation, and dispute resolution lawyer. He has the experience of over 22 years that is diverse both in domain as well as in geography. Mr. Mishra is enrolled with Bar Council of Delhi and has been enrolled with the Bar Council of Delhi since 1999. He's the member of the Supreme Court Bar Association and the Delhi High Court Bar Association. Now, Mr. Mishra and his team fields a strong bench of labor and employment experts covering all disciplines, ranging from expertise in drafting HR guidance policies and internal regulatory compliances to top level employment contract to critical investigation skill set concerning hostile environment and misconduct allegations. I mean, as I said, it's really, really diverse when it comes to expertise and specialization of Mr. Mishra. But without any further ado, let me just introduce you to the man himself. Hello, Mr. Mishra. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Bhati. Thank you for hosting me today. And it is really an honor and privilege to be here and have a session with you.
Pleasure is all ours, Mr. Mishra. We're really excited to have you with us today. And first thing that I really want to throw light on is your journey. So please tell us that how it has been as a legal professional and how the journey has been for you so far.
Oh, thank you for that. It has been really a very interesting, challenging, and a learning journey for me. So as you said, I have been cumulative experience of around 22 years. And now when I have started my practice in Delhi in 1999, when I enrolled with the Bar Council of Delhi. And, I come as a, experienced lawyer in the sense that I have worked across the various domain of legal services. I have started my career with Bhasin and Company, a very reputed law firm, and worked under the guidance of Mr. Lalit Bhasin, one of the most renowned lawyer of India and as well as internationally. And then I thought that, I worked there for quite a long time. I worked there for almost 6 years. And there I was heading the employment and labor law practice of the firm, as well as assisting Mr. Bhasin in the Supreme Court and High Court litigation as well. And, at one point of time, I always wanted to go on my own. So around 2008, I was just thinking of launching my own firm. But as a lawyer, I have always experienced that, when we look at the solutions, when we look at the solutions to provide to businesses, we always look their challenges and concerns and context from an arm's length, in the sense that we are not an insider to know that what is their real requirement. And our attitude is always to be more legalistic in our opinion and advice without maybe understanding in depth the business context or the financial context of the problem that has been come forward to us. So it was always my idea to get in a bit of an experience as an insider. So I track and change in bit, and I started working with corporate houses, and I work in a very senior position with some of the big multinationals like Accentures and Moody's corporations, etc., etc. And there I got in, a great exposure to work with world-class legal team and understand the complexities and the requirement of in big business, what they expect from the lawyer. And then in 2018, I came back to my active practice again, and I established a law firm by the name of Atharva Legal, LLP. And it is in Delhi-based law firm with its offices in all the major metro cities in India. And it's a full service law firm. We provide the litigation as well as the corporate advisory and consultancy across the broad spectrum of legal issues, both to India as well as in the, the companies, working multinational. And I personally look after the employment and labor law and general litigation, including the criminal litigation as well. We do a lot of criminal, I do personally as a lot of criminal litigations, economic offenses, and obviously the employment and labor law, which is my forte as well. So this is how it is. And in a very short term of time, I'm really, happy to tell you that we have established as a major player in the Indian legal scene, and hope to continue, and be in value addition to our client, So that's my journey for you and for your audience.
Thank you so much, Gyanendra, and congratulations on the success. And I really hope that this is just like the starting of what you guys deserve, the many more things to come your way. So congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Now, moving forward, with 22 years of experience, it is very unfair for me to, on my part, that I'm just like asking you. It's kind of really unfair that I am asking you about just one complex issue out of these 22 years. But I am really excited to know about it. And if you can also describe the complexity and tell us how you approached it.
That's really a difficult one, as you rightly said. And in my 22 year of a journey, there have been, the many memorable cases, not only in India, but I have dealt a lot of cases at the South Asia level as well, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka. And so there have been, many cases, which come across the mind. And to describe one particular case would always be, the challenge. But very recently, if I remember, I dealt with two criminal cases basically, and these two have a very far-reaching impact in terms of setting some legal principles, as well as addressing really the legal issues of great concern. So the one case was when a Bihar minister, Bihar and legislative members, MLA, was involved in a the criminal case where a very stringent UPA act was imposed against him. And the challenge was that this case was constituted in Bihar, and a court in Bihar has issued a warrant against him, but he was present in Delhi at that point of time, and he wanted to surrender in Delhi because there was a lot of political ramification to that case, and he was really keen that he should not be handed over to Bihar police because he was expecting the political retribution against him. So the challenge in that case was that he wanted to surrender in court in Delhi where he was physically present, but there was no cause of action or no leg of offense which has occurred in Delhi. So the question was that the alleged offense has been committed in Bihar. The court in Bihar has taken cognizance of that and issues a warrant summon against that individual. But that individual wanted to surrender in a court in Delhi, where, as I said, that no cause of action or no leg of offense has been committed. So I argued this matter. And it is in kind of in settling in legal position that, a person can surrender anywhere in India if he is physically present there and he or she gets to know that some, case has been filed against him and the court has, issued summon and he need to appear before that court. So he can. So that was in kind of in settling the legal position, And another very interesting and challenging case, which I can, talk about with my recent experience was, which you also may have, heard about, this Muzaffarpur Shelter Home case, which was a very infamous case where the girls of an, child home were alleged to be sexually exploited. And that case is basically, and a lot of people were involved in it, including many government officials who were supposed to be in charge of, the entire operation of looking after the shelter home, how it works, etc., etc. And it was by the Supreme Court, it was ordered to be the entire trial to be completed in 6 months, and it was a day-to-day basis trial with such a complex case where hundred of witnesses were involved. Different agencies have investigated the matter, including the Bihar police as well as the CBI, and the court, and the case was being directly monitored by the Supreme Court of India. So this case was also a great learning experience in the sense that, what are the challenges that you face in a day-to-day trial, where you have to deal with a complex set of witnesses and evidences, etc., etc. And you also get a glimpse to see that how the government institutions or the works, and what are the loopholes in the system, which makes the people to exploit the vulnerable, girls and children. So it's very, insightful, but in great learning experience as well. So this is what I can often remember, and hopefully, throw some interesting, facts to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra. And it was obviously both the cases were quite interesting when it comes to diving deeper into it. You better know. But as I said, that I am always excited to know more about the complex legal issues. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, coming back to the real and the times that we are in, that's the like, as you have seen, that the pandemic has seen a lot of courts moving towards more remote proceedings, and there are a lot of virtual hearings going on, and thanks to pandemic. So according to you, let's talk about the virtual hearings, and then we'll talk about the hybrid as well. Is this like a sustainable and a possible way to increase the access to justice? What's your take on it, and how your experience has been?
Oh, that's a great question. I think can be very relevant as well, and much talked about in the legal circle. So in my view, if you ask my personal view, one of the positive, offshoot of this pandemic and the lockdown was an experience of running the Indian judicial system on a virtual basis. It was an experience in itself for all of us. And obviously there was and there is a lot of learning and lot of an improvement and lot of upgrading need to be done in it. But when you look at it as a whole, from the perspective of access to justice, from the perspective of making the justice delivery more approachable and more speed up, it is a great, experience and experiment, I think. But it comes with the challenges of its own. And one of the challenges was that it all happened so sudden. So the infrastructure in terms of technology, in terms of connectivity, in terms of the availability of internet, etc., had been and still a major challenge. But given that limitation and given that shortcomings, the system has worked very well. But the point is that, the way the traditional justice delivery system has been constructed, that it is very based on, a lot of face-to-face interaction, and lot of physical presence is required in terms of the volume of the cases that you deal with, the complexities of the issues, the voluminous records, etc. And that is why, of course, it has a lot of functional and operational challenges. But I think that this system is going to be there, and it should be there, because of its huge advantage, as I said, in terms of accessibility of the justice. You sitting anywhere in India or even across the world can access to any court, any proceeding from anywhere. So suppose for an example, like in Supreme Court situation in India, for a vast country like India, there is only one Supreme Court situated in Delhi. And if someone has to access to the Supreme Court, it has been really challenged, particularly if you're coming from an far-flung area or remote area. But this kind of virtual hearing and online hearing, you can sitting anywhere in India can access to the courts in Supreme Court or various high courts, etc., etc. So it is an very, very positive outcome, I would say, and it really saves a lot of time and energy for all the stakeholders who are involved in the justice delivery system. But yes, as I said, it comes with its challenges. We really need to be very innovative and construct some mechanism around it so that it becomes more effective, more hassle free, and the glitches are less and less. And I think the answer lies in deploying the latest technology, making all the stakeholders empowered through proper education and training, so that the maximum benefits can be taken out of the new technology and the new way of working. So all in all, a very, very good and positive outcome, if you ask me.
Thank you so much for sharing, your views on the current scenario. And again, because of the pandemic, it has happened. How would you also rate the current legal system drive towards encouraging the access to justice? Like, is there like a tangible movement in closing the justice gap?
Again, that's a very relevant, question. And thank you for raising this issue as well, Bharti. So the access to justice is the most important issue, as well as the most important aspect, of rule of law and the dispensation of justice. And it is not only in India, but across the world. But in India, for the vast country like in India, where majority of the population has still not have that level of access to justice which they should have, where they are the sections which require the access to justice and the protection of the rule of law the most, So, and it really gives me, a sense of satisfaction and a sense of positivity that the consistent and constant efforts are being made at the highest level of legal system to, not only acknowledge that this is one of the most important aspect that where we need to put our energy and mind on it, but the actions are also being taken. Recently you will see the Supreme Court through the the legal aid system is very active, in terms of making justice available to the underprivileged, and you must have heard, the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Mr. Ramanna, putting a lot of emphasis on this through his various public speech, where he is talking about that the law is not only meant for, or the justice system is only not meant for the powerful and resourceful, but the real purpose of the system, of the law, of the rule of law will be served when the common man would have open and free access to justice, and can enjoy the same level of accessibility, not only in terms of the courts or the legal system, but legal help and representation as well. So a lot of things are being done in this direction. As I said, this issue has become the central point of considerations and thoughts for amongst the people who are really, can do something about it. But the role of lawyers, role of, law students, and all other stakeholders, are equally important and critical. And I think we all really need to work together to ensure that justice is, accessible by all, and more particularly, as I said, to the section who doesn't have the kind of, the resources and skills and knowledge to approach that. So this is what something we should all work towards.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra, yet again for putting your message beautifully into words.
And I would like to add, sorry to interrupt you here, that I as an individual level and we at an firm recognize this, and we have basically inbuilt it in our functioning. Each partner of our firm is mandated to devote at least 20% of his or her professional time for an pro bono services, and this is the commitment we seek from anybody who wants to be associated with our firm and want to work with us, that a certain percentage of your time and energy has to go for pro bono.
That's absolutely amazing, Mr. Mishra. Now, this is what we say, giving back to the industry, right? So thank you, and kudos to you for doing this and also making it mandatory for everybody who's working in your law firm. That's a great, great initiative.
Thank you.
We've talked a lot about the rule of law and the access to justice, and but we'll just leave it. And like, my main question to you now is, with 22 years of experience, Mr. Mishra, I want to know that how do you ensure that you make the best of your time as a lawyer? And the follow-up question to that is, how do you manage your personal and professional life? Like, because lawyers are really busy and we all know it. I have been working with the legal space closely for quite some time now, so I kind of have an idea about it. So how do you manage that?
No, yeah, you rightly said that, the one thing is that legal profession is as we say, is, a very jealous lover. It leaves you very little time for anything else. And anyone who, wants to pursue the law as in career should be cognizant of and ready for, this. And by the very nature of this work, it is really very time consuming, not only in terms of your physical time, but your total mental and physical involvement in this process. And if you are in busy lawyer, obviously you can't help it beyond a point, because you have been commitment towards your client, and that's why it really consumes a lot of our time on day-to-day basis. But I would say that every lawyer has to be very conscious of his or her personal space and mental and physical well-being. It is, if not more, then equally important than your material and professional success. Because if you're not physically and mentally well and in a good position, your entire career or all your efforts towards your professional built up can go awry. So that's why it's very important, and I do keep and encourage all of my colleagues as well, to keep some time off from your daily routine, to devote to your mental and physical well-being. You must do some kind of an exercise, and make it an part of your daily regime. Either, if you are more into the mental, you can do, yoga and walking and running, these basic. And I have seen that if you do it on a regular level, it really contributes to your professional, efficiency as well. So this is how it is. And then also sometimes it becomes really difficult for us because we are into litigation as well, and sometimes you have to do a lot of firefighting. But you should try to make at least your weekend reserved for you and your family and loved ones. So try to make it a rule that at least on Sunday you will not engage into any professional work. As I said, sometimes it becomes difficult because if you are dealing with some very critical issues, and the Monday have to appear in the court and all, So sometimes you have to work, but if you make it in a point, then in my personal experience, you will see that many times you can achieve it, So at least keep some times off in a week where you are away from the legal work and you devote more time to something what you love to do, taking in break. That is a good part of, although many people sometimes question it, that why the judiciary takes in long break, summer break and winter break. But you have to understand, the kind of rigorousness in this entire system, that these breaks are very important for you to get away from the system and get refreshed and rejuvenated, and I would say remotivated as well to come back to work. So enjoy your holidays as well, make it a habit of enjoying it, and this is how you can make a balance out of it. Sometimes it is difficult, but you have to constantly, as I said, first be conscious of that and try to make efforts to do that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra, for an amazing conversation. And sadly, we have come to an end of this interview, but I really look forward to having a chat with you again on some other trending topics in the legal space. And I'm very sure that we will get to learn a lot from you in next interviews as well as we have today. To all our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Mishra, please like and share this video, and do not forget to subscribe to ClickAway Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do, and you have more coming from industry legal leaders like Mr. Mishra. This is Bharti for LexTalk signing off.